So Kev, you've spoken a lot about the importance of taking chances, so how pleasing was it that that was in action at last weekend?
Yeah, listen, I think, when I spoke before the game, I kind of knew what it might play out like, and I think just goes to show what a very good result it was last week because of what Morecambe done during the week as well. To go away from home and score 4 goals, and we knew they're probably a better team than their league position suggests, with the quality of player they got and the number of players they got. So just really pleased to come away with 3 points, a clean sheet, and some goals as well.
Slavi Spazov and Josh Walker have both been among the goals recently. How much does that show that it's not just competition, but there's opportunities both for players starting and coming off the bench to get on the score sheet?
Yeah, and I think we've shown it all this year that the people off the bench make a huge difference. Something that's been new to us this year and the back end of last year. So everyone contributes, and when you've got to be ready to contribute as well. Because when you're on the bench, just because you're not starting doesn't mean you're not going to be involved. People who come on and finish the game are just as important as the ones who start it.
And then at the other end of the pitch, obviously we've secured back-to-back clean sheets in the league. How important is it that we build a bit of a run off the back of that? Yeah,
listen, I think so. I think it's, you've got to have good foundations. Defensively it's important. Especially go away from home and keep clean sheets. We've done it the week before. So listen, no successful team doesn't do that, and we've got to keep on it and not let her be complacent in any way, shape or form. And we've got to keep our standards high both ends of the pitch.
And then 2 of the league's best defences are meeting this weekend. What's going to be the key to unlocking Brackley? Yeah,
listen, as you say, they've been really well organised, don't concede many goals at all, and haven't scored loads, but you can see how well drilled they are, and don't give up too many chances or goals if you want. So listen, it's about moments, you've got to get them right and you've got to be clinical, and the lads should be in good form, and should be confident, and they will be going into it.
Perfect, thanks Kev.
Thank you.
Kevin, 3 wins in a row, 10 goals scored, only 1 conceded. What's this week been like as Southend United coach?
Yeah, listen, I think it's always pleasing, and the lads should take great confidence from that. But we won't get ahead of ourselves. Of course, it's good to have them standards. It's good to be in a position that we've done that, and it should give the lads confidence going into the game.
And as well, on top of that, your forwards have scored 16 of the 27 goals in all competitions. Obviously, forwards are in there to score goals, but what do you think has been the key to that? Them sort of having that, they're so much in front of goal.
Yeah, no, I think they've been shared around the forwards with Dallo's come in and got his goals. But just important, we've always created chances, and you look at the stats of what we've done in terms of the balls in the box, touches of the ball in the box, final third entries, we're up there. So pleased with how they've gone. We want more, of course, and I think we could have had more goals. I think our XG tells us we should have had more goals, more points. So something to keep pushing, and don't rest on your laurels.
On the team news side of things, Charlie Kendall-Nor, who's in, how do they see those?
Yeah, Nor's come in, but he's still in a lot of pain. Still got his brace on for another period, and that's going to be a long one. But it's nice to see him around the lads as well, because it's a tough journey for him, and one that he'll be supported fully by us. And Charlie's still a couple of weeks away, before he can get going really. So it's disappointing that it's dragged on a bit, but it's where it's at, and we've got to get him right.
You touched on clean sheets. Ben Goodliffe made the National League Team of the Week, and he said in his post-match interview after the Morecambe game, we kept fighting. That's what they kept doing. And just give us an insight how important Ben Goodliffe is in the anchor of that defence for you.
Yeah, listen, since he came to us last season, it leads by example, and threatening the box set pieces, and of course defensively that's the most important thing first and foremost. Like the way his games come on in terms of composure on the ball, and he's got a good range of passing. So, pleased with him and all the back lads if you want. But clean sheets is a team thing, just as it is when we score goals, because Ben's added to that as well himself. So, yeah, delighted in his. He's been first class around the place.
And behind him, Colin and Dengendy in line for his 100th appearance for Southend United in there, which is great to see. Just how pleased you've been with he's still so young as well. How pleased you've been the development he's made over these couple of years, and how far do you think he can go?
Listen, I think that'll be up to Colin. I think, how far he goes. If you look at what he's done since I've brought him into the team, 2 or 3 years ago now. The number of clean sheets, which, as I say, is a credit to him, of course, but obviously the players in front of him. And Colin goes as far as he wants. You've got to be have a certain mindset and dedication and willing to push yourself, and he's done that. And I think he's been pushed really well by Hazy. Who done brilliant for us at the end of last year, found himself out of the team, but has been first class with him. And I think we've got 2 good keepers to real push each other.
Yeah, 7 clean sheets already this season is a great achievement so far. What more is there anything more would you like to see from him at the moment as he continues to develop? No,
listen, I think just Anstey does great work with him, and he's in charge of that department. So we talk keepers all the time, of course, but I think it's the way they keep pushing each other, and the clean sheets are, of course, important.
Yeah. So first ever game against Brackley Town coming up at home this Saturday. What will be the key to sort of continuing the momentum that you've built this October?
Listen, I think, obviously being the home team, I'm sure they'll come and, want to try and make an upset if you want. But we've got to focus on what we do well. And, they really well organised, as I've said, and don't give up many goals. So we've got to be ruthless at that. But they also look like they can pose a threat with the guys up front. So we've got to be so concentrated on that. And, against a team that have, really experienced, come off some success last year. So one that's, being at home, we want to go and take the game to anyone that comes to us, no matter who it is. And we haven't done any different all season, so we won't be doing it any different now. But, really aware of the threats they pose.
Yeah. And on Monday marked 4 years since yourself and Mark and Darren took over as the management team at Southend United. It's a bit of a hypothetical, this one. If you could, with your experience you've built, if you could go back now to yourself when you were considering the job, what would you say to take that job on?
Get hair dye, Botox. Yeah, good luck. No, I don't know. It's the honest answer to that. I've enjoyed every minute, I think. I enjoy going into work. I love football. And I love coming into work. The people I've worked with Daz, Benno, and the staff that we came here with that have moved on have been unbelievable. And, the ones that are here now as well, and John Steele and Jason Dimitri, who have been with us nearly throughout the whole period, of course. And so many highs, so many lows as well. And I think I said it in a post the other day about there's no coaching badge in the world can prepare you for what's coming. And there's some lonely times, of course, Wembley, and you look at that. But if you look at where the club has come from that period, and how close we got last year, I think would have made the playoffs the year before if it weren't for a 10-point penalty. And if you look at what, we played Morecambe the weekend, and the difficulties they've had and where they found themselves, I think the true test of the job done that myself and the staff have done is that we've managed to be in the playoffs. We've got within getting out of the league. So, although when you reflect, you've got to take the positives. I don't usually do it. I'm quite reserved in terms of, I want to be humble, but I know we've done a good job, and I know that everyone around the club's done a brilliant job to have the football club where it is.
Definitely, it's been a journey, to say this. But maybe for yourself personally, what would you say over these 4 years has been the biggest development for yourself, in terms of maybe coaching or whatever it may be? Yeah,
listen, I think he's talking about head coach, manager. I think it's more of a leadership role. You can have titles, in terms of manager and head, whatever it is, but I think you've got to lead. And what leadership looks like is different to having a title. And I think you've got to be authentic. You've got to be yourself. I have moments that have been hard for me. There's no doubt about that. And you've had to deal with them, but you can only be yourself, as true to yourself as you possibly can, and that's with the players as well. And luckily we've had brilliant players and loyal players to the football club within that time, but I think that comes from what we created in terms of culture, and that's right throughout the football club in terms of everyone who's worked here and the job they've done as well. And I think that's probably the biggest and most pleasing thing for me, is that what we've created as a culture of a football club for the last few years. because you can't possibly wouldn't have survived as a club, and that's without the work behind the scenes of everyone. And obviously now the takeover and everything like that's in place. So yeah, listen, I think what can I learn? There's so much, and there's not really time to reflect too much. But so proud of everyone and proud of myself at times as well.
Are there any key changes that you make preparing to face a side that you haven't faced before?
Yeah, I think there'll always be a few tactical bits within games that you look at. We'll cover everything in terms of set pieces, in possession, out possession, and transitions, and what that looked like. So there'll always be tweaks, and without maybe major changes, we'll look at areas we feel like we can hurt them. I'm sure they'll be doing the same to us, and areas that we think they're strong, of course. So there's always little tweaks, and obviously with a team you haven't faced before, there's stuff that you've probably got to look more at, whereas we'll come against teams we played a few times that there'll be trends that you probably see in football. So yeah, new challenges.
And what would a win mean going forward for momentum and confidence in the team against your FA Cup match against Wilston? Yeah,
huge. I think it's just to keep adding to what we've done the last few games, and we always just keep talking about adding points to the board, the most important thing. And these points the Saturday are no different to the ones the week before and the week after. What you've got to do is keep adding to that total. We want a total we want to get to, and I think we're on target for that. Thank you.
How's Gus? Has he come through okay after the weekend?
Yeah, I think it's important he had this break when he did, because the period of a lot of games. But yeah, he seems to be okay. He's trained again today, so that's pleasing.
And Jack Stone's signed now. The plan's to send him out on loan, isn't it, for him to continue his development in men's football? Yeah,
just that as it was, and it has been. I think it's important that there's become a lot of noise around it, and it shouldn't need to be. Young man who's starting out in the game, go and enjoy your football, get your head down, work hard, and see where it takes you.
Yeah, and another striker we know well is coming back this weekend, in Danny Waldron. I guess he's someone you wish well, just not on Saturday.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, listen, Danny was a brilliant lad, and probably wanted it to go better, if we're being honest here. And I think we all do. Sometimes it just doesn't. But that's not to say it won't there. And of course, wish him all the best, because he was very good round us, but not for Saturday, of course.
Yeah, and transfer-wise, any news on that, ins and outs at the moment? I know I always ask, but anything development since I last asked?
No news.
Brilliant, that's great.
Thank you.